Alright peeps, I think we're good. How you doing? My name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and it is time for our weekly Q&A. This is where you ask me questions, I give you answers, and we all try to leave with all of our organs and extremities intact, but I never promise anything because of that one time. Let's not forget about that. Never forget. Alright, looks like we have audio, looks like we have vision, everything's good. Moderator Chris is on the scene of the crime and is ready to boot your ass up out of here and generally just keep things flowing in a nice and smooth fashion. While people hopefully file in, of course, if you feel like sharing this on social media and things like that, I would be appreciative. Try to get as many people involved in the comments as possible. That would be fantastic. But in the meantime, we always start off by talking about what's been going on with the channel. Pretty slow week, but I did get a couple of reviews up, and then I do have some major reviews coming up tomorrow. So you should definitely see so tomorrow you're definitely going to see two reviews, and you're going to see there's two actually pretty big previews that will be going up. I don't know when they're going to go up. I think one of them is going to go up on Monday. One of them is going to go up on Tuesday, along with the launches of the projects. One of them has been kind of a big deal amongst hobby gamers as far as like what people have been talking about. And so it's a known quantity. The other one, I think, is an unknown quantity, but people are going to be very excited about it. But I am sworn to secrecy. I cannot say anything until the project launches. But you will see both of those previews within the next couple of days, or a few days, and when they launch. And then, of course, we'll see a couple of really big reviews tomorrow. Other than that, hopefully I'll have like 3 or 4 reviews within the next couple of days. I really want to pound out a lot of those, which sounds awful, over the next couple of days. Oh, I have a big, ugly string. Look at that. This is a new shirt, so that's going to happen. But other than that, actually, I wanted to gauge your opinion. I finally got my own copy of Scythe. For those of you who don't know, I already reviewed and did an unboxing for Scythe, but it was the retail edition, one of the very first copies that Jamie Stegmeyer of Stonemaier Games sent to me back in April to do because thanks to you guys, because it's a whole long story, but there was a whole charity auction thing. You guys had the winning bid and you had the most thumbs for my entry, and so I got an very advanced copy of the game to review. So I don't need to review Scythe again, I don't think. However, I did get my own copy of the collector's edition, which has like a lot of fancy bits and a lot of, I think there's an art book, or should be. I didn't really mean to pledge for that level, but I ended up doing it, and I have a little bit of remorse, but maybe the art, because what am I going to do with an art book? I don't know, but it's one more thing to show off in the unboxing, potentially. So, I don't know, is it worthwhile for you guys to see another unboxing of Scythe on my channel? And I know that other people have done unboxings of the collector's edition already, so I don't know. Will this cause confusion? I'd like to know what you guys think. It's still sitting in a brown box right around the corner. Very heavy, too. Heavier than, of course, in the basement because there's metal involved. But okay, that's about it as far as news goes. What else should I mention? I think that's it. I think we're good. So let's go ahead and get started with the questions, which doesn't seem to be very many right now, but hopefully more will pile up. Any interest in Darkness Sabotage, the board game currently on Kickstarter? Someone on Twitter mentioned it to me, so I briefly looked at it. I hate the name. It just sounds stupid. But aside from that, it looks interesting. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's science fiction, cooperative, and there might be a dungeon master type player involved. But the miniatures are very interesting, very dynamic looking. Kind of all over the place, lots of pointy edges. But that doesn't mean they're bad. I think they're very interesting. And I always like. I think both sci-fi and fantasy are overwrought and overdone as far as genres. However, there's definitely a dearth of good science fiction games, so we'll wait for that. Now, having said that, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I know that the next Crossroads game is supposedly a science fiction Crossroads game from the Dead of Winter system from Plaid Hat, and I was railing against that. But that's only because the other options for that Crossroads game I think were better, like Ancient Japan and Summer Camp of Doom. In hindsight, Summer Camp of Doom would probably be too close to Dead of Winter, but there you go. Let's see. Welcome back, Nick, from Wintry, Australia. I've heard it was cold there. It's interesting. So, Pokemon Go, have you nearly been hit by a car like I have? The game is a menace. No. I finally got sick of seeing people post about it, so I downloaded it on my phone, and at the time the servers were down, which I think was happening to everybody. But I'm sure that my phone can't handle it, so I may have to play with my my tablet, and that's a non-starter because it's a Wi-Fi only tablet, so I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be as into it as other people are, and I'm not a big fan of Pokemon, so we'll see how it goes. But I will try it. It's definitely consumed the internet zeitgeist. Did you hear anything out of Gen Con that you think is newsworthy or interesting? I'll actually I'll decline to answer that specifically for now because soon I will be doing my top 10 anticipated of Gen Con. I'm not sure when that's going to be. It might be a couple weeks. It might be a week. We'll see how it goes. I don't like doing them too soon because, of course, other projects can be announced, and then I'm like, oh, if I had waited, that would have been my number one. But we'll see. But I'm sure there's some good things. There's things I haven't looked at. I always use Eric Martin's Geek List, and I do attribute to him because it is the most comprehensive list of what's coming out. But there's already things that I do know about, like Big Trouble in Little China. Legendary should be there. It's looking like at this point Civil War is going to get kicked out until Gen Con. It's supposed to be out in June. What else? There's a lot of stuff. Seafall, of course. What was your favorite gaming console over the years? Really, when you look at the amount of time I spent with it and how many quality games were out for it, I'd have to say the PlayStation 2 is just an amazing system. And then, the PlayStation 3, obviously as well, but I don't know, PlayStation 2 had some. I put a lot of time into that system. And it was backwards compatible, so I could still play my PlayStation 1 games. So, yeah, that was... I'd still say that's the best system to date, and it lasted so long. Up to that point, people thought there's no way, and every years kept going by, and they weren't putting out new systems. So yeah, that would be my number one. I'm not a Nintendo fanboy. I like Nintendo. I'm not a Nintendo hater, and of course I grew up with a Super Nintendo. But even when there was a Super Nintendo, I was still preferred my Sega Genesis. So if only the Dreamcast had managed to hang in there a little bit longer. I think the Dreamcast was even a superior system to the PlayStation 2, but it never got a chance to shine. But the games that were good for it were really good. In fact, I see that Adam Bishop is in the comments. I had a game based on Berserk, the anime that he and I both like, called Sword of the Berserk. And what I remember most about it is the giant undead floating baby. Okay. What was your science fiction or fantasy? I actually just incidentally answered that. Well, no, I didn't actually. I didn't actually say what I prefer. I just said which genre is overdone. Or they both are. I'm going to say fantasy overall. Science fiction, I don't know. I always like it when I feel like characters are struggling and they have limitations, and I never quite got that feeling from something like, say, Star Trek, where it's just they had to come up with wacky situations for them to get out of. But they had overwhelming amounts of power and technology to help them out with, whereas in fantasy it's usually like people struggling against desperate odds with very little to work with. Nick, is Dice Master slowly dying off? Is it better for it to burn out than to fade away, or any other Neil Young quote you'd like to come up with? Is Dice Masters rocking in the free world? That's the question. No, I think that it is. Here's the question, though, or here's the problem. There's a lot of games that just sort of limp along, and I wonder if Dice Masters will just become that, because WizKids doesn't have a lot of other AAA titles or anything like that, and that one is still being supported through organized play. So in other words, if the LCGs for Fantasy Flight games can just keep coming out now, and you never see people talk about them or play with them, then obviously there can be enough of a core audience for a game to just limp along. I personally am getting rid of all of my Dice Master stuff. I'm done with it. I cannot keep up with it. I never thought it was amazing. It was very good, but I'm honestly thinking Quarriors does enough for me. because I'm never going to get to play 2-on-2 or tournament. I don't care. I don't want to play it that way. And I can't keep up with the plethora of releases, and some of them are very low quality, like the Yu-Gi-Oh set. So, yeah, I'm just not interested in it anymore. Now, whether or not that's what everyone else is thinking, I don't know. I know that they have they instituted some really harsh restrictions, forcing stores to only sell them in a certain way, and that really killed a lot of people's enthusiasm for it, including mine. Evil Dead 2, the board game Kickstarter, you in despite of the poorly ran campaign? I am, or the poorly worded sentence. Sorry, John. No, I actually posted about this on Facebook. I'm not in. I love the Evil Dead movies, and I love the series and the characters, and I'm all for it. But yeah, this campaign is setting off a lot of red flags for me. And I don't think that a company would get an official license like this and then just completely botch the whole job. Something will come of it. But it's still, like, I think now, someone posted on the Facebook post that I made that there were, like, some preview rules out. But at the time, when it first started and it made over $100,000, there were no rules out. No one knew what kind of game it was. The miniatures looked, they were just 3D renders to start with, and they didn't look very good. And they had a project scheduled end date of, delivery date of November of this year. I was like, come on, man. Even a game that's just like a card game doesn't launch that quickly, unless they've already got it done, like Queen Games likes to do, which is a whole other rant. But a game with miniatures, no way. There's no way. Okay, I've been waiting 2 years for Conan, and it took 3.5 years or something, or like 3 years for Kingdom Death. It's just not going to happen. What do you think about the single print runs of games? For example, Pandemic Iberia. It seems like publishers are forcing pre-orders. That's definitely cause for annoyance and concern. I'd also say, unless they like swore their firstborns on it on the sacrificial altar, that I wouldn't hold them to anything they say about this is only going to be a single print run. Then they'll just, if it sells really well, if it sells out, they'll just say, we'll just do another one. You know, unless they're trying to do some sort of stupid, forced, like aftermarket of incredibly overpriced, you know, second seller games like Magic does with their cards. But I don't know. But you know what? Honestly, you know, people kind of hold all these publishers as very sacrosanct, and they're doing what's best for themselves and for their business and for well, actually, I know that they're doing that, but they also think like, oh, they're just trying to help out the community. They're not. Usually when you see something very fishy and suspicious like this, or like what happened with Asmodee and their new pricing plans, it's purely to make extra money for themselves, and that's it. And nothing trickles down to anyone else below them. How's the Force of Will scene in your area? Well, I know that the local cool stuff was trying to get that going for a while, like the people running the store. The people running the store, who also are patrons of the store because they also play Magic and stuff, they were like, yeah, we're trying to get people into this, we're trying to get a scene going. I don't know how well that worked. I don't think that it did, but I don't have any other stores immediately close to me, so I don't take part in it. So I don't know how well it's doing, to be honest. Nick, tell us a secret preview Kickstarters. You can always kill us afterwards. Kill us all afterwards. I know I can do that. Guys, that's why I'm so comfortable on these Q&As, is because I know at a moment's notice I can just kill you. I mean, that kind of freedom, the power that I have over you to just instantly end your lives and your existence, is the only reason why I keep doing these. Otherwise, I would, you know, there's no way I'd be brave enough to do a Q&A every week. But still, nevertheless, I can't break a promise. I promise not to talk about them. But there's other reasons why I'll probably kill you. So just hang out, wait a minute, and be patient. Thank you. When is your Zombicide Wave 2 review coming out? Thanks in advance. Oh, yeah. No, wait a minute. I did Wolfsburg. I'm not doing anything else. I know. I could do like reviews of the Bosses expansion, which has actually hit retail stores this week, or some of the other extra stuff. I don't know. Like, I realized that like Zombie Dogs was one of my most viewed reviews, but for like the original Zombicide, but I just don't want to do it. I'd rather review full games. I'm so backed up on reviews right now that I'd rather focus on other things. But I did a review for Wolfsburg, which was part of Wave 2, so you can check that out. Hey Nick, if you could ask any one board game personality any question, and I'm sorry, it's funny to read some of you guys' grammar mistakes. I'm not trying to pick on you though. And they had to tell the whole truth and have the answer made public, who and what would you ask? If you could ask any one board game personality any question, and they had to tell the whole truth and have the answer made public, who and what would you ask? Well, so you're trying to bait me into saying something controversial, but I'll say something, I'll sidestep and say something that's already in the past, but people are still curious about. I'd like to ask whoever came up, whoever the head honcho was who signed off on Asmodee's pricing structure, what their actual goal was, and have them be honest about it. Because I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with helping. And by the way, Privateer Press, I'll say that as well. With their really draconian system where they just came right out and said, fuck you guys. Yeah, I'd really like to ask them, what's your ultimate goal here? Is it just to make some extra pennies on the dollar? Oh, it is? Okay, that's what we figured. But I'd like to have confirmation. How much sleep have you had this week? More than average, but less than what the national average is. So, for instance, Thursday night, I had 3 hours. I went to sleep Friday morning at like 5:15 or something, and I had to get up sometime after 8 to get to work. And last night, though, I was going to force myself to stay up and do a couple of videos, and I said, you know what? Why don't I just get some sleep? So I forced myself to go to sleep, and I actually got 8 hours. I was actually only intending to get 7. So, yeah, I'm very happy about that. I'm planning on getting a lot tonight, too, so that tomorrow I can just hit the videos, and I want to get at least 4 videos done tomorrow. You may not actually see 2 of them because 2 of them are going to be the previews that I talked about, but you're going to see reviews that I just don't want to mention quite yet because I don't know. I wonder if other yeah, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that. But, so you'll see some more stuff coming up, and part of that is because I'm forcing myself to get more sleep. It's also helping my health quite a bit. Hold on, I skipped some questions here. Wow, I skipped a lot of questions. Sorry. Okay, hey Nick, how are you doing? I've seen Xenoshift on your shelf in reviews, and I really want a different deck builder. How do you still feel about Xenoshift? How does it fare with Core Worlds? Cheers. Well, I don't like Core Worlds very much. It's too long, too just fiddly, not nearly worth the trouble to play. So that's kind of a false comparison, but I'll tell you how I feel about Xenoshift on its own, and that's that I think it's a fun game. I think it's very different than a lot of deck builders. I mean, if you want a different deck builder, that is, as you say, that is definitely different because it's pure. When I say purely cooperative, I mean you're literally giving people cards that they put into their deck. Your other teammates, and when you purchase cards, they go straight to your hand. So it's a whole thing where you buy, and then waves of enemies come. It's got a whole different tempo and pace than any other deck builder you've ever played. That's part of the reason why I like it, because I like games that sort of buck the system and break rules and boundaries and things like that. So I think it's very good. I don't think it's amazing. I do like it. I did buy the expansion. I'll get it when it comes out. I backed it on Kickstarter, so whenever it comes out, it comes out. But it may not be like the greatest thing ever. I do think the difficulty is very, very swingy. Sometimes you can just be super lucky and kind of just keep control of the situation. Sometimes things just cascade and get worse and worse and worse for you. But I think overall it's a worthwhile experience. And definitely if you like deck builders but want something drastically different than, say, the Dominion or Ascension style deck builders. Thoughts on the Evil Dead 2 game? I just talked about that a little while ago. I think it's caution is necessary. Thoughts on Yokohama? I don't have a strong opinion on that one. I saw it from Tasty Minstrel. I put the remind me button on because maybe I'll back it, only because they've done good jobs with other Euros that they've imported, and I do like the designer, who's Hayashi. Can't remember his given name. But he was the designer of trains. So Hisashi Hayashi is what it is. So based on that pedigree and based on the fact that Tasty Minstrel does do a good job with other people's games that they import and put new editions out with. Now that's a very specific subset of games, but I say it in that way because I have not been happy with any of the games that Tasty Minstrel has published themselves, created and put out themselves. But other games I have been, like Orleans. So we'll see how it goes. I also regret the extra $20 for the Scythe art version. It's not a great book. Maybe do a show off of just the book and the premium components. Well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just do the unboxing, right? And I'll just point out very carefully that it is only specifically the collector's edition. Favorite ethnic cuisine to eat? I like Chinese food. I like General Tso's chicken, fried rice, and things like that. Wonton soup. Nick, what are some new games this year that have really impressed you? This year, I've been very impressed with quite a few games. I'm trying to think of like when things actually came out, but although I know I'm always, it's always difficult for me to remember things when people put me on the spot. Oh no! As far as when things came out, I think Above and Below came out this year. I was very happy with that. I was very happy with the new edition of Runebound. The Orleans Collector's Edition was this year for me, but I already knew I liked that game, so I don't know. Fireteam Zero surprised me by how much I enjoyed it. I'm just looking at my shelf at this point, so I am holding on to it for now. Star Trek Frontiers reminded me that I really enjoyed Mage Knight, and I do like Star Trek Frontiers in and of itself as well. So yeah, I'll go with that for now. Allegiance: A Realm Divided was surprisingly good. I actually got one of my friends I played it with him, and then he went and bought his own copy and is having great fun with it with his group. So always happy when I can help my friends make a good purchase. The best diceless global conflict game, a la Kemet and Blood Rage. Well, Kemet, actually, since you bring it up, is probably my pick. There's not other good ones, but that's a very good one. But Scythe is also very good. Neither of those are global, by the way, but close enough. Scythe's diceless, right? Why am I blanking on that right now? Yeah. Have you played Isle of Skye? I played it one time, and I enjoyed it. I need to play it again. I'll get to it. I should put that up the queue because before the Spiel des Jahres are announced, but we'll see. What games do you plan on playing tonight? What new games do you have that you are excited for? I can't really tell you the games I'm going to play tonight because these will be my second plays of the games I'm going to, hopefully, if I feel confident enough, review tomorrow. But the good news is these are, I'm probably tipping my hat here, but they're mostly expansions, so I'm pretty sure I know what I feel about them, but that's okay. But I can't really say. Is there anything I can say? I'll show you some stuff that, like, well, forget it. I don't like saying that because people are going to be like, where's that review? You promised us that weeks ago. But there's other smaller games I'll get to sooner rather than later. What new games do you have that you are most excited for? I'm excited for a lot of new games. I'm really excited for, believe it or not, one of the previews is coming up. I rarely get a chance to say that. And, of course, when I do my preview, I'm not going to say whether it's, whether I think it's actually good or not, because that's not the purpose of a preview. The preview is just to show things off. But I can say that I'm excited for the content of it and what it is. We'll say that. And I'm excited to see what you guys think about it. Watch your reviews of both, but Mage Knight or Star Trek Frontier. Well, I can tell you're a liar. I never reviewed Mage Knight. You probably just thinking of someone else. But Mage Knight or Star Trek Frontiers, if you had to pick which would you select if the component quality was the same for both? I would pick Mage Knight, but again, that comes down to I prefer sci-fi themed. I like the idea of taking a really powerful fantasy warrior, planeswalker-ish, around the countryside. That theme just works better for me. And also, the artwork, I think, is better. If you want to say that's component quality, though, I'll take that out of the mix. But Star Trek's good, though. So, again, like I said in my review of Star Trek Frontiers, it comes down purely to which theme do you like better. If you're inclined to like that type of game, then all that's going to matter for you is the theme because they are so similar as far as gameplay goes. And so, in that case, really, for me it's Mage Knight, but for you it could be Star Trek. And I mean that sincerely. Figure out which theme you like before anything else. Any thoughts on Cry Havoc from Portal Games? I don't know enough about it. I know it's got a cool looking box. You plan on doing a review sometime for the Dead of Winter expansion? Possibly. Oh, sorry. Oh my god, I'm having a stroke. Sorry. Thoughts on the Hero Realms Kickstarter? It's cheap. I'll probably back it. But honestly, I haven't played Star Realms in a very long time. And it doesn't look like it's that different than Star Realms. I was kind of hoping it would be. I loved your unboxing of Black Plague. What's been your favorite addition to Black Plague so far? I love the spells. I really love the way all the spells work. But as far as like bigger stuff that they've added in, boy, I was really disappointed that the werewolves didn't really add much to it. There's just zombie dogs and a werewolf abomination that's just a faster regular abomination. So that stuff was kind of disappointing, but I don't know. I do like that there's a wide variety of abominations. They all look really cool, and they do have some different effects, but yeah, I'm just going to say as a whole, I love the magic that's been added to Black Plague. Any thoughts of the Dice Tower Award of Pandemic Legacy as Game of the Year? I think Pandemic Legacy is a fine game, so it's also overwhelmingly popular. I think it would be silly to think that I think it's a very large group of gamers who are more likely to review and have played very popular things would not also have a populist sentiment to them. So it makes total sense that Pandemic Legacy would be chosen by that panel. And I think it's a good game. I wouldn't have chosen it, but then again, if I was on the panel, no one would have voted for what I would have voted for Game of the Year. So there you go. Thoughts on Yokohama Kickstarter? Wow, people are really interested in that game, huh? I have no idea what the gameplay is like, so I'm sorry. I just think it looks mildly interesting. Dreamcast never had enough good games. Well, that's true. If it had a little bit more, people would have been more inclined to purchase it. Instead, people stayed away like the plague. Yeah, Dreamcast had no third-party support. When Games Workshop comes out with the new Blood Bowl, will you be trying to get it to review? Is this a game you would want to play normally? It's not my style, but then again, I liked Chaos Ball, which of course owes its entire existence to Blood Bowl, I think. But my point being that I was surprised how much I enjoyed a game that was only nominally sports, but had all kinds of crazy shit going on at the same time. Demons and lots of different teams. So that might entice me to play Blood Bowl more than I might have before playing a game like Chaos Ball. By the way, I think Chaos Ball is dead. I don't know that we'll ever see another Kickstarter for Chaos Ball, that's for sure. Yeah, games from Cool Mini are not that are dead. Chaos Ball. There's another one I was thinking about the other day. Rivet Wars. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to put me on their reviewer list ever. I've done a lot of videos for their stuff, and they've never even contacted me. But do they? I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Dice Tower's on their reviewer list, but that makes sense. 1 a.m. here in Japan. Well, you're a trooper. Although, for me, that's an early night. Big fan. Thank you. What are your thoughts to the changes of iconic characters in entertainment, i.e. a female Thor, a black female Iron Man, a gay Sulu in Star Trek? Wow. You just dropped 3 blogs worth of content. 3 progressive blogs worth of content for me to discuss. So we'll just knock them out really quick. First and foremost, the whole thing with the female Thor and the black female Iron Man. I know less about the black female Iron Man, but they were not like all of a sudden they're female. It was though their characters took a back seat. Like Thor became not worthy of the hammer, and someone else, a female character, was worthy, and she became Thor for a while. And it was just a change of pace, and crazy shit like that goes on in comics all the time. It was really overblown. I think that people who were crying that it was misandry and men's rights activists getting all up in arms about it were wrong. But also, I think people who thought it was a new change of pace and that there would now be this new wave of progressive ideas in comic books were probably jumping the gun too much as well. As far as the black female Iron Man thing goes, from what I understand, Iron Man and Tony Stark are still in the comics. This is just like some character in the books who said, yeah, I'm going to make my own Iron Man suit and go off on adventures too. So, but I don't know. That's all I know about it. a gay Sulu in Star Trek, well, that's another bag of worms. So in general, I'm totally fine with whatever they want to do with these characters. I frankly think that all these characters should die. I don't know how many more decades and centuries we have to put up with Superman comics, for instance, especially. I want new characters and new storylines. That's what I like about manga so much. Yes, I understand I'm wearing a One Piece shirt, and that manga has been going on for 17 or 18 years. However, it will end someday, he has promised, and it will be the end of it. Whereas they will let these other franchises in American comic books go for infinity until it stops making money, and it never will. And I don't like that in general. So if you're telling me that you're going to have pretty drastic changes that not only revitalize the characters in their flagship books, but also do add diversity. I'm not for like forced, shoving diversity down people's throats, but it does stand to reason that we're living in 2016 and perhaps there should be more representation of these characters. Yes, an argument can be made that there should be new characters who can stand on their own, but again, it's comic books and crazy stuff happens all the time. It's not like it doesn't make sense that these things would happen. Having said that, the whole thing with Sulu and Star Trek is a bit of a different situation because they were doing it, as far as I know. I haven't read Simon Pegg's response to George Takei on this, but they were doing it as an homage to George Takei in a sense. I have a feeling they wanted there to be a gay character in the movie series, okay, and since George Takei, the actor who played Sulu, is gay in real life, has a husband, has been a very outspoken advocate for LGBT rights. They said, well, this is a nice and fitting homage, which is a nice idea. George Takei immediately came out and said, I'm totally against it. The character himself was not gay. This goes, and he has a very fond remembrance and admiration for Gene Roddenberry, who gave him his career, who gave him his start. And he said, this is not what Gene Roddenberry would have wanted because he wrote the character this way. So you're changing fundamentally a character. And Simon Pegg put out a rebuttal I haven't read, I'll be honest with you. But he said, I disagree with respect. But that smacks of a different situation to me because it's someone recast as an actor, paying homage to the original actor, but the original actor says, no mas. So I don't know. I'm a little bit on the fence on that one. Hey Nick, what's your favorite movie and TV series of all time? Well, that's a big order. Some of my favorite movies are things like, not like really deep choices, but The Matrix, The Prestige, some of the Marvel movies. I do watch art housey movies a lot, but I don't usually pick them as my favorites. But as far as TV series go, I mean, I think we're in the golden age of TV, so most of my picks are going to be more recent. But Breaking Bad is amazing, and even Better Call Saul is really keeping up the tradition of that very well. Game of Thrones is great. I love One Piece. If I could go back in time, I kept the mega long series off my top 10 anime list, but I probably would have put One Piece as my number one. Is there a chance that you could interview Eric Lang? For some reason, I think your personalities mesh and it would make for a good interview. Well, you say that, Kevin, but I had a chance to interact with Eric Lang, who as a game designer, I admire him greatly. Some of my favorite games in my top 100, near the top of my list, are from Eric Lang. I think he's a fantastic designer. He picks wonderful themes, and he's a very thematic designer in putting those themes into his games. He just does a very, very, very good job, and I used to follow him on Twitter as well, and he seems to be a very progressive guy. So yeah, I mean, I could. It definitely seems like there's some meshing going on there. However, having said that, I had a chance to interact with him several times during Dice Tower Con last year, and he kind of avoided me. He was very, very, very into the same circle as the Stephen Bonacore, the Dice Tower guys, the Stronghold, the Secret Cabal guys, and I think I'm completely and totally persona non grata with all of them. So circle the wagons. That's what happens in the board gaming community. Circle the wagons. If someone's an outsider, no one's allowed to interact with them. So I think that's pretty much how that's gone down. So again, professionally, I respect the guy a lot. I admire the guy. I'll always play and review his games. but I don't think there's any kind of I think there's some sort of animosity there. Not on my side, but I respect his boundaries. By the way, I don't do interviews. People ask me that all the time. I don't like interviews. Not that I wouldn't do them in the future. I'm not going to say never. It might be interesting to do just to change things up. But generally speaking, I don't like doing them. Nick, your current thoughts on the CW TV shows, Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow? More superheroes! I'll take more. Just keep force feeding them to me. Shove them down my throat. But that's really funny because in the fall, it's going to be Monday through Thursday or something like that, superhero shows every single night. And I say, more! And by the way, it's not even counting Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on another network. So it's pretty great. And also, I think Luke Cage will be coming out in the fall. Someone brought in a previous Q&A, brought up, you should do... I was just checking my volume, but it was at the worst possible time. Someone said that you should do some sort of superhero show roundup. That's the compelling evidence to do so, because there's so many to talk about. And maybe I will. Maybe that's an interesting thing to do. I do like watching the Young Turks do their Game of Thrones reviews. So, which is where they all sit around and say completely wrong and erroneous stuff about the show they just watched, and people correct them. You could do that to me. Well, that's okay, Steve. However you started watching, I'm glad to have you here. Do you get into the art of board games much? Follow any of the artists, as in their work, not creepy? It's funny because I do follow Nayade around. He doesn't know it, but now I do. I've actually followed some on like Facebook and Twitter and things like that. I think art really helps a game. Now, I've talked in the past about how I think a lot of Kickstarter projects in particular use art as a crutch for really poor gameplay, and that's a bad thing. But nevertheless, when a game is good and it has amazing artwork, it does take it to the next level. It's a great thing to look at a beautiful game. So the artwork of Nayade, the artwork of so many people I don't remember their names, but but if you think of what's the name of the person who does the artwork for Dead of Winter and Ashes, Francisca something, I'm sorry, that artwork's amazing. That gives a game its own personality and flavor. Think of Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering is the perfect example of that. It's true that game was popular almost from the get-go, but the early artwork of Magic the Gathering is awful. Awful, 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 awful. I don't want to begrudge anyone artwork that I couldn't personally do, but come on. But in those intervening years, they have made that game into the premier space to make quality, high-level artwork. It's what people look forward to. It's why people don't mind getting some common cards and uncommon cards that look amazing. And why people will make alt art cards, like just to modify them because they're building off of something that looks truly shocking and great. So yeah, artwork makes a difference, and I do get into it. Do you think you will review the TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, as if anyone didn't know that, from IDW? Sure I will. It will probably not be very good. I say that because IDW Games has had a track record of putting out mediocre to awful games, and I can only go off of people's track records, okay? And Kevin Wilson, who has done some great things in the past as a contributing designer to games from Fantasy Flight, like the Arkham games and Descent, previously Doom, those types of things, Netrunner, he has definitely contributed some wonderful things to the hobby, and yet a lot of the games, or almost every game he's done from IDW, has been not good. He did one decent game, which was that Awesome Kingdom game, which was okay, wasn't great. Everything else has really gone downhill, and therefore, together with the IDW thing and their track record, I'm not excited about TMNT at all. Nevertheless, it is a huge game. It is a game that people are going to be talking about, people want to see reactions to, so I will review it. I actually kind of regret that I didn't back it on Kickstarter just so I can get an early copy, but there you have it. Do you still play Space Hulk? How does it compare to Warhammer Silver Tower? I haven't played Space Hulk in a while, but I still like it and will play it if offered the opportunity, so I'm holding on to it. Compared to Warhammer Silver Tower, well, I like Silver Tower better because Silver Tower will hit the table more often. In fact, I was trying to talk to people into playing it the other day, and they were like, because Warhammer. But there you go. Some people don't like the Warhammer universe at all. Does anyone know why Nick left the Dice Tower? Just wondering. I've been off YouTube for a while. Well, I'm going to poach that question. And no, actually, I don't. It's not something I bother to talk about very much, anyways. But since you asked, yeah, it's just difference. Very, very, very strong differences of opinion and ideology that finally came to a head. I was pretty much checked out of the channel for several months before it actually happened, and so it was no surprise to anyone. Thank you, Steve, for more nice comments. How many times do you hope to play a game before you think the price was worth it? Well, that varies dramatically. And I always say, like, look, if I get a few hours out of playing a game and the game costs like $30, that's probably worth it because that's, I mean, how much would you spend to go out to the movies with some friends total? And although I have to take the totality of the the fee for this. Honestly, if I play a game 4 or 5 times and I think it's good, I've more than got my money's worth. I'm really not stingy like that, but then again, I'm a reviewer. I have to buy new games anyways, so my compass for that is a bit skewed. Just keep that in mind. Have you watched the Civil War movie and thoughts? I'm assuming you mean Captain America Civil War. I haven't watched any kind of documentary on the Civil War. Yeah, I did, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I still don't think I liked it as much as The Winter Soldier, and but I still really, really enjoyed it, and it was a nice thing to wash the bad taste of Batman vs. Superman, which had come out the previous month, out of my mouth. New top 10 lists, I always enjoy seeing more of those. Yeah, I don't know why I've been procrastinating on those. I have one I was supposed to do a long time ago. It'll definitely be. I'm gonna make a declaration that I'll probably partially break, but not fully break. That there will be 2 top 10 lists this month. What do you do to get the same game played multiple times with your game group, since new games always seem to get tabled? Well, the good news is I have 2 different game groups, and usually different people show up to them. So I might foist a game onto people, and they're like, "Oh, is this new?" I'm like, "It's new to you." So even if the previous group hated it, these people don't know that. Very rarely, though, I will be able to get the same group to play the same thing more than once if it's good. If it's bad, it's not going to happen, and I wouldn't do that to them. As far as Evil Dead, I am only in until the final 48 if things don't change. Probably a good thing to do, just don't forget and don't run out of time. Nick, I've been going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and now I feel more energetic. Have you been going? I've been going like once a week for the past month or so. I need to step up the pace, though. Please suggest me a non-J-pop band to listen to. That's very specific. Non-J-pop, but you still want in the realm of pop? I've been really into female-led synth bands. I don't know what their proper name is, but examples would be Churches, Grimes. What's another good example? Lady Hawk, very good. The Naked and Famous kind of bridges the gap between pop and rock, and I'm waiting for their next album patiently. I don't know if they're broke up or what. They're great. They're amazing. They're probably one of my favorite bands. So there's that. If you would just want a recommendation from anything, then some of my favorite bands are the Mountain Goats, The Cure, the Bad Religion, the New Pornographers, Arcade Fire, the Decemberists. I could talk about music, man. Let's see. Wait, you're not down at Dice Tower Con? I hope you're being sarcastic, because that would be funny. What are your superficial thoughts on Tyrants in the Underdark? It looks like a game you might be interested in. Yeah, I mean, it looks really interesting. I love the theme. I like playing as the Dark Elves. It seems like a lot of reviewers got early copies of it, even like the Discriminating Gamer, which is... But I think they must have either got their copies at Origins or they just are on Gale Force 9's wish list. So I'll have to wait until like August with everyone else. Yokohama doesn't need a deluxe edition, it needs development. Ooh, no, he didn't. Well, I don't know anything about it. But if that's the case, then there you go. Speaking of that, thoughts on Batman vs. Superman. I enjoyed the Ultimate Edition a lot more, and it's a better movie, but I still wasn't a fan of Lex Luthor that much, though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to bother to watch the Ultimate Edition. I saw an article that said fans are now apologizing to Zack Snyder after seeing the Ultimate Edition. I don't know about that. I really don't think that adding more stuff to it is going to fix what was already broken about it. But yeah, I don't like Lex Luthor's the character in the movie as just a character was interesting to me, but it was so out of step with it was just the Joker. He's just the Joker as Lex Luthor. It's ridiculous. Are you already making room for the new games coming out of Gen Con? We'll see. I'm not probably going to get a ton of them. I do have a couple of people who are going to be schlepping games back for me or sending them to me from the fair, so we'll see how it goes. How many times have you played Star Wars Rebellion? Do you think it has a good replay value for the price? I've probably played it like 5 times at this point. I played it a few times after the review came out. Yeah, I think it's a very good game. It is expensive, especially now with the new pricing plans from Asmodee. But I think it's a very heavy, meaty game. So if you're into that type of game, then yes, I think it's worth it. Cry Havoc has been, from Portal previously mentioned, has been trickling into reviewers. Any word or thoughts? Well, I'm never, ever going to get a review copy from Portal Games. Even when I was on good terms with the Dice Tower, I remember that their guy that's in charge of that, his name is Chevy Dodd. He was at Dice Tower Con last year and had a copy of Tides of Time at the time. He hated my guts. Like every time I asked him, just like, hey, can I just play that? I mean, their copy was in the library, and he was like, yeah, all right, whatever. And I said, yeah, it's really great. Do you think I can get a review copy? I mean, I really enjoy it. And he was like, I don't know, I don't think so. I mean, who are you again? And so I was never on their review list to begin with, and now especially I think like what's his name, the head of the company, Ignacy, is like really good friends. Like they do a podcast together with Stephen Bonacore. So again, circle the wagons. One hand washes the other. But I don't really care because aside from Robinson Crusoe, all the other Portal games have been very lackluster that I've played. So I don't know that Cry Havoc is going to be any different. Nick, how have you been? Anything new with you? Sorry, I have not been to Q&A for a while since my new work schedule. Quite all right, Vincent. It matters that you're here now. I've been okay. Haven't gotten a lot of sleep in the past few weeks, but I'm sort of making up for it now. And, as far as life goes, life is life. Overworked, underpaid on both ends of my life. Any thought on what kind of game Fantasy Flight Games is going to announce in the coming Gen Con? I don't know. People keep waiting for announcements of expansions for their Warhammer licensed games. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're done with Games Workshop, and they just haven't been willing to announce it yet, which is pretty crappy of them, to be honest. But I'd like to be wrong. What do I think they might announce? More Star Wars crap, I'm sure. Hey, Nick, 25 minutes without a sneeze or a runny nose, a new record. I laugh out loud. I kid. No, it's no problem. Nick, do you think Hero Realms will be able to raise another $50,000 for the last known stretch goal in 4 days? No, probably not, but then they'll just give it to people anyways because their stretch goals have already been planned and they've already been produced. No, but Cool Mini or Not does that. I think all of the last 5 or 6 projects from Cool Mini or Not, they've come up with some really ridiculous, unattainable stretch goal in the last 24, 48 hours, and they don't meet the goal, and then they say, but as a thank you for the tremendous success of this Kickstarter, we're going to go ahead and unlock that stretch goal anyways. Aw, that's so nice of them. No, they were going to do it anyways. Or they'll do that nonsense where it's like, oh, well, with late pledges, we're going to combine them together, and if that gets us to the stretch goal, then we've got it. So, Nick, any word on when we might see more love or videos for Kingdom Death Monster? Yes, I know. I'm very I just have to find the time to do my Kingdom Death play sessions, solo plays. But on top of that, I'm just very nervous about it. I'm not going to be able to do it very good justice with my camera setup, and people are going to complain about me getting rules wrong. I am very nervous about it. I wonder if I possibly bit off more than I could chew. But I want to do it, so it will come out eventually. Any guess on where Scythe will end up on the BGG list by end of the year? It's going to be really high. I don't know. You have to understand, the Board Game Geek audience is very different. They are older, stingier gamers. You do see like some random curveballs get thrown in, like Pandemic Legacy. But then soon after Pandemic Legacy, you saw games like Through the Ages rise to the new Through the Ages rise through the ranks again. And games like Seven Wonders Duel. And I think that it's not. It may become incredibly popular, but whether or not it's going to be critically popular on Board Game Geek, I don't know. And by the way, I don't think it's a gauge of success either. Okay, more talk of Yokohama in the comments. With all your lack of sleep, have you ever thought of getting a helper monkey for the channel? An actual helper monkey? But another human being? No. This is a one-man show. It should stay that way because I don't want anyone else to be reliant on me for anything. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Vincent, on the whole thing of just make new characters instead of making the existing characters different, because it's kind of a disservice to that anyways, to the idea. Tons of Quarry or Heart of Crown, which one do you prefer more? Heart of Crown. Heart of Crown is a deeper and heavier game. I would be interested in reviews of superhero TV shows. Well, I'll keep it in mind. I think it's a good idea. I have the 3 small box expansions for Eldritch Horror. Would the first big box be worth getting if I am happy so far? If you're happy so far, then play it until you get bored. You're not in any rush. I don't think they're going to go out of print anytime soon. Eldritch Horror seems to be a very good seller for Fantasy Flight, and they don't license it out from anyone else, so I don't think there's any fear of it happening, of what happened with the Games Workshop games. So, yeah, I mean, if you're happy with what you have, just play until you're bored of it and you want to change. That's what normal people should do who are not reviewers. However, when you think that the first, it's the better of them, the Mountains of Madness, and you can definitely wait on the Pyramid one. Hey Nick, I just heard that Constantine will be coming to the CW, or possibly a character appearing on Green Arrow. Yeah, more heroes. Well, he's already did a cameo, not even a cameo, it's more of a full-fledged guest spot on an Arrow episode last year, or last season. And so I think on Hulu, they just finally released the entire 13-episode first season, only season of Constantine. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, people seem to like that show. The CW will keep shows going even if they don't have a humongous audience. So there's a chance, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Hey Nick, Star Trek Frontiers versus Star Trek Fleet Captain. Similarities, differences, preferences. I only played like 1 or 2 rounds of Star Trek Fleet Captains. I cannot make a judgment call on that game. From what I played, I think I would, knowing and having played both Frontiers and Mage Knight a lot, I know I prefer that system. Star Trek Fleet Captains had a lot of the same ideas and premises, but the system just wasn't as deep and engaging to me. But again, I didn't play the whole thing, so I don't know. Have you thought about top 11s? Go one better. Well, yes, I should just try to differentiate myself. How about a top 9? Make everyone count. Hey Nick, Ghost Rider is rumored to be coming to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Excited. Well, so everyone was thinking that was happening, but it is true that there was a character in last year's show who is a character in the books, in the comic books. His name is like Hellfire or something, who has a chain that is a fire chain. He used it last season, like in one particular scene. that I think was supposed to be a callback to the comics. So people are thinking he's just going to become a regular cast member. Because otherwise, I don't know how that works. But I'd be happy if Ghost Rider actually came to the show. How would they do that and make it look good, though? How would they have the budget for that? I don't know. Do you have a lot of dice? What's your favorite set of dice? I do have a lot of dice I've just accumulated, but I don't know. I have a sort of pearlescent, rainbowish set of dice that I bought for Pathfinder Adventure card game. I really like that set. I think TMNT, the board game, is going to be like Ghostbusters, the board game. Great for those not in the hobby, but not for those who are in the hobby. Possibly. I'm not that far behind on questions. Are there any miniature tabletop games, i.e. Guild Ball, that tempt you? No, Guild Ball I think is from... is that from Mantic? I don't know. But I have Relic Knights I've never put together. That looks like it's a dead game, though, so maybe I have no rush. How wasted were you on July 4th? I did drink heavily all weekend, but not like completely wasted. I count on like one hand with change left over the amount of times I've been like really stupidly drunk in my life, because I'm a big dude and I don't get drunk very easily. I've only been blackout drunk like maybe once, but even then I have memory of that night, so I probably was not. Hi Nick, in video games, what kind of character do you like making and playing? I always play female characters just because, and I don't know, as far as like classes and things like that, I do like doing sneakier characters better who specialize in stealth, and any kind of like melee martial artist characters. Are you excited for Suicide Squad? I've heard the extended Batman vs. Superman helps. Maybe Suicide Squad might have a chance. I think it looks like it's already better than Batman vs. Superman, but I am definitely lowering my expectations. What is your favorite Lord of the Rings movie, and how did you find The Hobbit? I never bothered watching the second and third parts of The Hobbit, and I fell asleep during the first one, so that's probably a bad sign. Of the three Lord of the Rings movies, though, I think the third one was probably the best. Why do you think racial tensions are so high in the last couple of years? Well, okay. So let's talk about that, because that's a big deal. I like to talk about Americana and what's going on in our country and major big deals and things happening, sometimes overseas too. But yeah, this week we saw two black men who were basically butchered by cops in situations where they should not have been, because even though both men were armed, one of them was licensed to carry a firearm and was not reaching for his gun, and was reaching for his ID as the cop asked, and the cop just randomly shot him in a car with an unarmed civilian, the mother and girlfriend, and a 4-year-old child in the backseat. The other situation, the man was pinned down by two different cops, and they just decided to shoot him 6 times because you need to make sure, I guess. And that was horrific, and is a pattern of violence and I don't know, an abomination and miscarriage of justice that's been going on in this country for forever, and how black people are treated, and how even legally owning a gun for a black person is completely different than a white person legally owning a gun. There's a video online of a guy who was in, I think it was even in Texas, who for a few years ago, who got a gun, legally was able to carry it, a license to carry the gun visibly, walk around. You just walk around with your gun, and he decided to walk down the street with it. When on the same street where other people were walking down the street carrying their guns. And what do you think happened to him? Because he was black. Cops were called immediately, and they cordoned him off, told him to get on the ground. I mean, this is the kind of nonsense and garbage that goes on in this country. And then, on top of that, on Thursday night, at a protest that was otherwise peaceful, one person who happened to be black, who was a former, looks like he was former military, went on a rampage and killed 4 cops and wounded several others. It is just horrendous. and is just not helping. I don't know. At this point, that person is probably mentally ill, probably crazy, like all of these shooters are, and just snapped. He said that he even had a problem with the Black Lives Matter movement. But it certainly doesn't help matters, does it? And now there's more people whose loved ones are mourning their dead, who were just trying to help that night. And things have gotten really bad. So you ask, like, why has it gotten to this point? Here's the thing. The whole thing of what's been going on with black people has always been there, of them being horribly mistreated and looked down upon in our society. It's just that with the advent of social media, with people being more connected, now we get to see these things happening, and people can't to no longer deny the truth. They can't just say, well, I don't see that happening to the black people that I know, so I don't really believe that. And you've even seen some major people and political pundits come out and say this week, I didn't know this was going on. Now, I kind of call bullshit on that. I think these people just didn't want to know and acknowledge it. But okay, fine. Now you know. And on top of that, since President Obama came into office, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to go right out and say it, there is an underlying current of racism in this country with especially the white males in this country, the demographic of Fox News, who are racist. They're inherently racist. They were raised to be that way, and now they have an outlet for that, and them screaming at Obama 24 hours a day. And all of these pundits whipping them up into a fervor. And this has just made things even worse. And they'll never admit that. They'll never admit that it's because of President Obama's race. But that, combined with the tension that they already had with seeing their country slowly turn to a color that's not just white, has caused them to freak out. And that's a huge part of why things are getting as bad as they have been. And no one's willing to back down. No one's willing to adjust their personality. No one's willing to talk with the other side. And things are going to get worse before they get better. I'm just going to lay it right out. Things are going to get much worse before they get better. This was not the bottom. What happened this week, what happened in Dallas, was not the bottom. We haven't gotten there yet. So prepare yourselves. Nick, while listening, I am making anagrams of your name. See if they capture your essence. A 9 check man. Yeah, that's about 9 normal people's paychecks is about what I make in a year. People keep telling me Batman and Superman's Ultimate Edition will change my mind. Okay, maybe. Would you vote for a third political party instead of Hillary or Trump? No. I am not a Bernie or bust person. I'm a huge Bernie Sanders supporter. I still wish that some miracle would happen at the convention and he would get the nomination, but I cannot allow a Trump to get into office. Have you played or reviewed Dungeon Pets? I've played it. I didn't like it very much. I don't have my own copy, so a review will not be forthcoming. But there's my unofficial review. I didn't like it very much. Do you think if Fantasy Flight Games had the license to Star Trek, they would do a better job? Or are the games from WizKids good enough and just the components are shit? Well, if it wasn't WizKids, then Fantasy Flight probably would have just done a different game. I'm not necessarily happy, by the way, with the fact that they just re-themed Mage Knight. It's just that it's a good game, and it does seem the theme seems to fit better. But maybe it would be a better idea to make a different game altogether. That's probably why I would like Fantasy Flight Games to get the license. Hey, Nick, how about a top 10 Cthulhu games? Ha ha ha. Yeah, I don't think so. Because I'd probably only be able to come up with 3 that I can feel good about. I'm late to the party this afternoon. Anyone ask about your thoughts on Giga Robo Kickstarter? They have not. I've seen it. Actually, when I saw it on Kickstarter, I was like, that sounds really familiar. And I went and I looked through my email, and that guy had approached me about doing a preview or a review back in April. I responded back that I don't do reviews. A standard thing I say to everybody, right? I don't do reviews of unpublished games or games coming to Kickstarter, but I can do a paid preview for you. Here's all the details on that. And he never got back to me. And he did approach other reviewers. He approached Lance Mixter, who does Undead Viking reviews, and I know he does them for free. And he'll review a prototype for free and give his full opinion on it, even though it's just a prototype. which I will not do. So he probably just said, well, I don't want to spend any money, so I'll just go this route. Which I think is kind of shooting himself in the foot. I mean, I don't really care. People can do what they want to do. I'm not going to complain about it. However, a game like Giga Robo with anime artwork, and given how young-leaning the audience I have is, and how they're leaning towards being incredibly geeky and watching anime and superhero stuff, and given the number of subscribers I have, I think he probably shot himself in the foot, but good luck to him. Nick, have you ever been someone's pen pal using physical mail? I had a somewhat long-distance girlfriend in high school. We lived like an hour and a half away from each other. So we wrote letters to each other a lot during the week. Do you ever wish to get back into pen and paper games? All the time. I just don't have the time for it. But there's a lot of really interesting systems I'd love to try. If the second print of Kingdom Death has new and updated content, would you throw more money at it? I'd probably buy another copy of the base game just to have it, to be honest. Nick, have you seen the movie Love Exposure? If not, I recommend you look it up and read about it. If you like Battle Royale, you may enjoy this. I haven't even seen Battle Royale, so... But sure, I'll look it up. Do you think Fantasy Flight Games is over-reliant on Star Wars? I think they have been releasing too much Star Wars games, and they should have done more games on other themes. Well, of course, but listen, when you have a cash cow, you're going to keep milking it. They are running a business, and there is demand for it, and they have put out quality games based on it. Some of those games I don't personally like the miniatures games, like X-Files, X-Wing miniatures. But I really like Star Wars Rebellion. I think that's a very good game. And what's the other one that they did that I like? Maybe that's the only one that Fantasy Flight's done that I liked. But other people really enjoy their card game too. So, Nick, will you move up to Canada? We have maple syrup and beavers. Well, two of my best friends, they moved back to Orlando a couple years ago, and then now they're moving to Canada sometime this year, and I am envious of them. But really, I'd prefer to stay in America. I know. It seems like I'm an American-hating, Marxist, socialist, progressive, but I do love my country, and that's part of the reason why I get so aggravated when shit like what went on this week happens. That's why I care so much about it and why I'm so passionate about it. And so I want to stay in this country. I don't want to quit. I don't want to give up. I want to tough it out. But I do want to move farther north. So I might move closer to Canada someday. I'd love to go to Vermont, New Hampshire, New England. Oh, I miss the snow so bad. I miss the changing seasons. Am I caught up on questions? Close. The guys had no ties to Black Lives Matter. If you're talking about the shooters, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think they're saying now it's just one shooter. They arrested several suspects, but only one person seems to have been responsible for it, and he said he hated Black Lives Matter. Since you went into politics, oh boy, here we go. Thoughts on Gretchen Carlson suing Fox News people for harassment, sexual harassment? I think if she manages to really bring something of substance against Roger Ailes, and it looks like there is, they're coming out of the woodwork now. It's another Bill Cosby situation. And listen, we know what Fox News is like. Fox News has specific policies saying that women are not allowed to wear pants on their station. They must be... you see the women on that station. They specifically go for a type. White, young, attractive women, not allowed to wear pants, must wear skirts. Their legs must be shown. This is the kind of thing that they're doing over there. They're basically making their network into softcore pornography for their target audience. And their average demographic, by the way, is white men in their 60s. So, and now it seems like Roger Ailes was like the poster boy for that over there. And if they really, if this really comes to fruition, it's going to be disastrous for them. There's more racism among black people than among white peoples. Yeah. Let me get your source on that, Piotr. Best publishers for licensed IP, Fantasy Flight Games seems to be doing a very good job as far as I can see. I haven't played any of their games, but Gale Force 9 apparently does a very good job. Wizards of the Coast does a good job. There are some. Another anagram, Heckman K9. That's cool. Have you seen the new version of Robo Rally? How did you like it? Well, I didn't like the original Robo Rally. I'm supposed to be getting a review copy of that one eventually. I doubt that I would like it more, but we'll see. You have not been cussing much today. Please say taint and ass bag. I would never say those things in a public forum. Star Wars Armada is the shit. I'll say that, though. Have you tried it? I have not. That seems like I'd like it more than X-Wing, but still, I haven't been, like, frothing at the mouth for it. What do you think about the Runebound adventure and scenario packs that are coming out? Is it a buy or pass? Well, I really like the game, so for me, they're a buy. If you liked it, or if you liked my review and think you're interested in Runebound at all, then get the base game and try it for yourself. But I liked it. I'll be getting it. Move here to Boston. We'll set you up. Can take that under advisement. But big city life, well, okay. I'm in a very urban area, but I still don't live in, like, a city. So I don't know about that. Boy, we got to end it soon. Oh boy. Adam bringing out the sexism. I'm being harsh, but Nick, fuck, marry, kill, Emma Watson, Scarlett Johansson, and Keanu Reeves. Just had to throw that in there, huh? Well, I'm sorry, I'm not gay or even bi, despite what everyone thinks, and you can think whatever you want. So I'll have to kill Emma Watson. No, I'm kidding. Kill Keanu Reeves. But I like Keanu Reeves, and if I was gay or if I was a heterosexual woman, I would take a run at that for sure. But sadly, I'm not, so I'll have to kill Keanu Reeves. But Keanu, I'm sorry. Join your beagle in heaven. But I'm just kidding. There's no heaven. Emma Watson and Scarlett Johansson. Who's a better wife material? I feel like Emma Watson I want to marry and fuck Scarlett Johansson. This is terrible. Why do I do these? You guys, now I'm going to get more of those. Poor Keanu. How's Bugbear doing? She's good. I've had her sister here for a long time. They are both sleeping on the couch right now. Let's see if I can show you that. You see them on the couch right here. Bugbear is in the back. She's that dark spot behind. By the way, when they're sleeping is the only time they'll get that close to each other. Honeybee. Honeybee. So yeah. Bugbear would never admit it, even if she could talk, but she's happier when her sister is here, despite how much they fight. What RPG systems are you interested in trying, or which ones have piqued your interest? Lamentations of the Flame Princess, although it might just be because it's supposed to be a very hardcore and dirty version of D&D. Savage Worlds seems interesting. I actually bought a little game from the people who did Fiasco called, what's it called? The Warren, which is basically like Watership Down the game. Play that fucking 51st State, dude. Yeah, I know. I gotta get to that. I live in Montreal. We're really diverse. There's a ton of racism from ethnic groups toward other ethnic groups, regardless of color or culture. Yeah, and I'm not saying that other places have it better. I mean, look what's happening over in Britain. A huge part of what went down with Brexit was because of racism and xenophobia. And that's just the way that it is. I don't know what the solution is, to be honest with you. Eventually, everyone's just going to intermingle, and we'll all just do away with different colors and everything altogether, but that's a long way off. Boston's no city. Well, okay, I know. I'm still waiting for your Smurf drinking game review. Okay. That's random. What? Marry Scarlett Johansson, kill Emma Watson, fuck Keanu. I only have to do it once and he gets to make more movies. What? You don't like Emma Watson's movies? Eric, you and I can't have a conversation then. Alright. What do you think of the Seventh Continent? It looks very interesting. I backed it on Kickstarter, completely separate from my preview. Again, I'm not going to give you my opinion based on the preview copy that I played, but it looked interesting enough for me to back it. Let's put it that way. And what is the game on the table? Well, since I already showed you, the cat's out of the bag. I was starting to film last night that game, not Spyfall. That game. Spyfall's still on the table from last week when we played it. Magic the Gathering, Shadows over Innistrad. So look for that review very soon. All right, guys, I'm way over time, but that's okay. I had a lot of fun, and people got me railing against politics, so I felt like, okay, I need to do some non-politics stuff to end this. Also, it's going to be a very awkward ending. But at least I didn't do it at the beginning this time, where most people begin and end watching, and therefore leave me angry comment, dislike, and leave. Now, they'll have to stick around for a while before they hate me. But in any case, everyone stay safe. Listen, this is a really shitty week for the country in general. Just treat people civilly and with respect. If you say to yourself, if you stop to think, just stop and think for a moment before you interact with someone. And if you think to yourself, I'm about to treat this person in a way I certainly would never want to be treated, stop. Simple enough, right? I think it's a simple enough way to live, and then we can start building up from there. But let's start at that baseline. But in any event, guys and girls, thank you so much for joining me. I love my Q&As. I'll never, even though I didn't do a lot of other content this week, and I thought, well, is it weird to have a Q&A so soon since I didn't do much more other content in between the last one? I would never give this up for the world because I love interacting with all of you. I love getting a chance to talk with all of you and discuss what's going on with the channel. And I hope that you all have a fantastic week. And let's hope that for the country this coming week is going to be a better one than the last. Take care. Hug your pets. Hug your family. Hide your wife. Hide your kids. Have a good one. Take care.